Test. Test, test. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to White River Buddhist Temple. I'm Georgette Magnin. I'm the BWA president, but I'm up here a lot as chairperson, and I enjoy it. But anyone, please, if you'd like to volunteer, I'm more than happy to show you how it works. It's not that hard. It's very, very forgiving. So today we will start with, I hope you have both the white songbook nearby and the purple service book. We'll be using both of them today. Have time, there's copies scattered around of the white book if you need it. And there's plenty more in the back. So, everybody's got one? Great, that's wonderful. So we will start with Jusei Ge on page 23.
Please join me in Gasho, or bow your heads in contemplation and respect, as together we say, Namo Amida Butsu, I take refuge in Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Please once more join me in Gasho, or bow your head in contemplation and respect, as together we say, Namo Amida Butsu, I take refuge in Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Naman Dawats, Naman Dawats, Naman Dawats, Naman.
Well, those of you who are able, please rise. We will use the purple book and read the three treasures on page 3. The three treasures, page 3. Fortunate is it to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Rare is it to encounter the teachings of the Buddha. Now we hear it. If we do not seek the truth of the Dharma in this life, in what life shall we find it? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in Buddha. May we all together absorb into ourselves the principle of the way to enlightenment and awaken within us our highest aspiration. I take refuge in Dharma. May we all together be submerged in the depth of the Dharma and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in Sangha. May we all together become units in true accord in a life of harmony, in a spirit of universal brotherhood, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through ages of myriad of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful teaching. Now we're able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of the Tathagata's teachings. Namo Idavats, Namo Idavats, Namo Idavats, Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. Please have the white book for the song or gatha. It's on page 150, and it goes on for several pages, so be able to turn the page when the time comes. We Are One, page 150 of the white songbook. Thank you. I know it moves a little bit fast, but something springy for spring weather. So we have a guest speaker today. Reverend Sarah, did you want to introduce, or shall I? Okay, thank you. You're settled down. Why not be comfy? All right, we have Reverend Tadao from the Tacoma Buddhist Temple, and he'll give today's Dharma talk, and hopefully we will learn something today. I'm sure we will. Thank you.
While they're setting up the screen, if I could have everyone please join me in Gasho as I read the words of our founder, Master Shinran Shonin. Shakyamuni Tathagata appeared in this world solely to teach the ocean-like primal vow of Amida. We, an ocean of beings in an evil age of 5 defilements, should entrust ourselves to the Tathagata's words of truth. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namandatsu, namandatsu, namandatsu. Good morning, everyone. So I'm pretty certain that I am the last person you were hoping would be here today to come and speak with you all. At least third rank. Now, I know that the person you wanted to see the most is on the screen right now. So feel free to look at the screen for a bit and take it all in. So what you see there before you is my son, but more importantly, Reverend Cindy's and my son, Tetsuo Michael Koyama. He was born on March 13th, which was a Friday, Friday the 13th. And for those of you who were around on Friday the 13th this year, it was a very snowy day. And it was it was a very interesting day. Just actually an interesting fact, March 13th, Friday the 13th, also happens to be my mother's birthday. So I felt like a bad son because, this year I didn't send my mom flowers the way I usually do. So I called her and I apologized, and she said, "You already gave me the best birthday gift a grandmother could want, is a shared birthday with her grandson." Feel free to advance, Kelsey. Yeah. So the pictures, keep advancing. The pictures are in chronological order, so you can see like when he was much younger, and he's already pushing himself up. I know Terada-san's here. She might have a new judo student, pretty strong one. Send him to the Olympics. And in fact, actually, if those of you are interested, the kanji character we chose for Tetsu, so Tetsuo is his name, right? So the kanji character that we chose for the first one, for Tetsu, is iron. And then the O is otoko, man, so Iron Man. That's it, sorry, because he can keep going for it. Yeah, he's a strong boy, and you can see how you can see him aging and how he progresses, and and he's I know everybody thinks he's so cute, and he's getting those he's also getting those chubby cheeks and everything, and he's eating a lot, and everyone loves to look at babies. Everyone loves to marvel how cute they are. That's him with his older brother Irvin, so. Yeah, everyone loves to see, like the baby and everything. But I tell you, it's not an easy journey. In fact, actually, last night itself was particularly difficult. He just would not want to go to sleep. We would rock him and he would fall asleep, and we'd put him in his little crib, and the second, and maybe we'd get about 30 minutes before he'd wake up and start crying again. So, and that's the last slide there. So that's probably one of the most recent pictures of him now. So he is actually over a month old now. So we are still very blessed and lucky to have him. I am so grateful also to my sister-in-law, Megan Yasaki, who's been living with us, because she can help provide an extra hand when needed, and give mom and dad a chance to just catch up on some sleep. So now, I also know that recently you all had Hanamatsuri last weekend, and you had a wonderful Dharma talk by Reverend Nishiyama, a retired minister from Hawaii who is now living in Oregon. I've actually, as the current supervising minister to the Oregon Buddhist Temple, I was able to meet him as well. And thankfully, he did not tell you the story of Shakyamuni Buddha, or the birth of Shakyamuni Buddha, last weekend, because he says you already all know it, right? So you already all know the story of the birth of Prince Siddhartha, right? He was born in the garden of Lumbini, yes. And how many? And then in fact, one of the most amazing things about the birth of Prince Siddhartha was, as soon as he was born, he was able to walk. How many steps did he walk? 7 steps, yes. And then each time he took a step, the lotus blossoms came out of the ground where his feet were. And then he stopped on the 7th step, and he pointed at the heavens and the earth, and he said, "I alone am the exalted one." So he spoke, actually, as soon as he was born. Man, wouldn't my life be so much easier if my son was able to speak so he could tell me what's wrong when he's crying, right? My son just cries, right? And I don't know what's wrong sometimes. It's like, he gets a feed, I change the diaper, he takes some milk, okay, he's still crying, maybe he needs to be walked around a little bit. I have one of those dad kangaroo shirts that, I can slip him into and then walk. And thank goodness we live next to the Tacoma Buddhist Temple, because I keep the social hall, accessible to me during the off hours when nobody's there. So if he's really in a crying fit, I can give Mom and Auntie Megan a break and walk him around in the social hall downstairs and just let him cry as to his heart's delight. Thank goodness we don't have next door neighbors either. I am in a very lucky position. But continuing on the story of Prince Siddhartha, and the story that you all know, you all remember that in his growing up, in his upbringing, King Suddhodana, right? He was told a prophecy of his son by the great seer Asita, and he said, 2 outcomes are possible with your son. One outcome is that your son will become this great king and will conquer the world, and be an even greater king than you. Or he will become the most experienced and wonderful religious leader and free the world of suffering. Now, King Suddhodana being king, which one do you think he wanted his son to be? He wanted his son to be just like him. And so what does he do? He raises his son in luxury. He raises his son with nothing but the finest things, right? Think about, just being a king and having all that privilege, all the servants you have access to, all the finest things in life you have access to. He denied his son nothing, right? Because he wanted to ensure his son was brought up in a comfortable and safe and very, polished lifestyle, correct? And we all know that for those 20 years, Siddhartha grew up as this pampered, if we'll say like spoiled child who was never denied a thing in his life. And, even then, in the story, as you know, Prince Siddhartha still didn't have enough. In fact, getting everything he wanted, he realized he was not satisfied, which then started him on the journey of becoming the Buddha. So, going back to King Suddhodana, before I was a father, I harshly judged this man. I thought to myself, what a fool, King Suddhodana, you are. What a fool you are in this story, thinking that even like hindering the time that the Buddha, would become the Buddha. Trying to force your son to become just like you, right? Trying to force your son to do exactly, the way that you think his life should be. What a fool you are, Suddhodana. As soon as I became a father, and as soon as my son first started crying at home, I sympathized with this man. See, we all think King Suddhodana is this fool for trying to hinder or for trying to stop or for trying to force Siddhartha into this life, right? But there's more to the story than that. There's more to King Suddhodana's, mentality as a father. See, when my son cries at night, one of the first instincts I have as a father is to help, is to try and comfort, is to try and ease his suffering. Because he's suffering from something, I don't know what it is. And guess what? Just like King Suddhodana, I am also victim, or I fell victim to the capitalism of this social media that we have as well. Somehow, Facebook knows I had a baby, and they're starting to advertise all of these things that I need in order to bring up my child in the best possible way. You need this elevated cushion to elevate your son to 15 degrees so he doesn't spit up all the time. You need to buy this water filter because if you don't bathe your baby in this purified water, your baby's skin is going to break out in rashes and all that other stuff, right? You need to buy this thing in order to make your baby's life more comfortable. You need to buy this one. Guess what? I bought some of these things. I'm King Suddhodana, right? I may not be a king, right? I don't have a palace. I don't have multitudes of servants, although heaven knows I would love to have like a person, a night nurse who can, be up with my son while Reverend Cindy and I try to get some sleep, right? of course, I never complained about changing diapers. I love doing that, because it means that my son's working. It does. But that being said, right, again, the sleepless nights are real. But then also realizing, my first instinct as a father is to try my best to make my son's life a little bit easier, a little bit less suffering, a little bit less hard, right? As soon as I can see the look on my son's face when he starts to gear up to cry. He starts to do these little gasps, and he starts to, and then, and then I'm like, okay, I'm in parenting mode. What do I do to, and then of course, we recently had the grandparents over, and Cindy's mother would say, sometimes you just have to let him cry out a little bit, let him get the emotions out. But still, me being his immediate parent, I want to do my best to hold my child and say, what's wrong? What can I do? What can I do to help? How can I get you to go to sleep? Right? All of these things. And so in this, I realize that I myself am no better than King Surodana, this man that I harshly judged constantly and thought of as a fool. What parent doesn't want the best for their child? What parent wouldn't move heaven and earth to make their child's life so much easier? And this is where we also come to the teachings of our school of Jodo Shinshu. Thank goodness to me, I am in the school of Jodo Shinshu, because for our school of Buddhism, there is no other practice that is required to ensure enlightenment than that of Namo Amida Butsu. And in fact, as a father now, that's all I have time for, right? All I have time for is to place my hands together and say, Namo Amida Butsu. I am grateful for Amida Buddha's wisdom and compassion to help guide me through this really, really wonderful, enriching, difficult, stressful, loving, and all over the board emotions, right? I don't have time to go up to the mountain to some retreat, right? I don't have time to do, they recently had a Zen retreat at our temple. I'm so happy for them. It is so wonderful. There's no way I could have ever participated in that with a child. All of these other Buddhist schools are wonderful, and they have such brilliant practices that are not to be scorned and not to be looked down upon. Zazen is beautiful. It's a wonderful thing. I love going up Mount Hiei and looking at all of the tantric practices that they do up there. The fire rituals are particularly interesting to me. But I don't have time for that. See, when we think about the reason why I opened up with the Gosandai that I did today is because Shinran Shonin reminds us in the Shoshinge that Shakyamuni Buddha's main purpose of appearing in this world was to teach us the Nembutsu. Why is this, right? There's all these beautiful Buddhist practices, and like you said before, don't disparage them. Don't think less of them. But for us in particular, why is Jodo Shinshu, why is Nembutsu the practice that I cherish and hold the most dear for myself? It's because I realize that under my karmic circumstances, even despite me being a priest and being able to wear robes, all that I am truly capable of doing is saying Nembutsu. And thank goodness this teaching was gifted to us from Shakyamuni Buddha's own mouth. Coming from the larger sutra, the Contemplation Sutra, and the Amida Sutra, it reminds us that ordinary beings such as myself have access to enlightenment, have access to the teachings of the Buddha through Namo Amida Butsu. We don't have to prove ourselves with countless, practices. We don't have to do prostrating bows, right? That you see in Tibetan Buddhism, when people like the Dalai Lama are approached, there are people who have to prostrate. They have these special hand gloves that they have to prostrate on in order to approach him, right? We don't have to do this because for all of us, we don't have time for these things, right? It's not that we just don't have time. We were not born with the karmic circumstance to do these things, But Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, is the most accessible and I think widespread teaching that all of us can relate to. See, my parents said Namo Amida Butsu. My grandparents said Namo Amida Butsu. My great-grandparents said Namo Amida Butsu. through the experiences of parenthood, child rearing, all of it, the one constant that was in our lives also was Namo Amida Butsu, which was said at one point or another. This is a teaching that continues to pass down through the generations. Yes, of course, my son will have his own journey. I can't force my son. I'm not going to force my son to become a priest. If my son says, I want to become a priest, but I think the first thing I'm going to say is, no, you don't. Maybe, who knows, maybe reverse psychology will make him want to, so he'll actually become a priest just to spite me, I don't know. But, fathers and sons, right? But, but I am going to try to teach him that the Nembutsu is here for him. Namo Amida Butsu is a form of comfort. It is a form of wonderful Buddhist teaching that is gifted to us from the Pure Land. And it is here solely for our benefit, right? All this enlightened activity is summed up into just this phrase of Namo Amida Butsu. And thanks to Prince Siddhartha being born and becoming the Buddha, right, and all of those things, all of his journey, he gave us the most practical teaching that we could imagine, one that all of us can share, that we can come into this space and say Namo Amida Butsu. Even, and I know, I'm a ritual and chanting specialist, so it's like, I know a lot of you have your obutsudan at home, and they're probably collecting dust, right? We probably haven't used them in a while, but you can say Namo Amida Butsu in front of your own home altars, your obutsudan, right? The space of Namo, you don't need to be at the temple just to say Namo Amida Butsu. You can take that with you everywhere you go, because it's with you everywhere you go. And when you think about a parent's love for a child, or what a parent's love for a child should be, right? That is always present everywhere you go as well, no matter where your parents are. Yes, my parents and I, have a wonderful relationship. I mean, that doesn't say that we always got along or that we never fight or that we never argue. But and I'm lucky, and I know, and I say this with a total acknowledgement that, that this is privileged, but I've never ever questioned my parents' love for me. I never ever questioned their dedication to my well-being. And I wasn't, and maybe some of you who know me well wouldn't be surprised to hear this, I wasn't the easiest child to manage either. I was a wild child. I was kind of a, I was tough to manage. I gave my parents plenty of headaches. And I'm certain that they are laughing, knowing the hardship that I'm about to go through as well. But with this in mind, all of this comes back to why I am so grateful for the teaching of Namo Amida Butsu. Because I don't have time at this time to devote to countless Buddhist practices and to all of these other things to prove myself that I'm a Buddhist. And yet, at the same time, there is this Buddhist practice of Namo Amida Butsu that is so accessible to all of us, that is accessible to me, and thankfully is accessible to my son, right? It's not something that I'm going to force on my son, but it's something I'm going to remind him that Nembutsu is always there when you need it. Nembutsu is always there when you want to say it. Nembutsu is never denied to you, right? I can deny you toys. I can deny you Game Boys or DS or whatever the next thing is. I can deny you a new laptop. I can deny you a car, right? But I can never deny you the Nembutsu. I can never deny you the love that the Buddha has for us, the constant love that the Buddha gives us on a never-ending basis, this constant work of enlightenment. So with this in mind, I thoroughly want to actually take this moment to thank the White River Buddhist Temple for all of the support that you have shown our family. Really, when people sometimes told me, why do you want to become a minister? There's not a lot of money in it. There's not a lot of, privilege. There's not a lot of advancement. Being surrounded by a loving community like the White River Buddhist Temple, Tacoma Buddhist Temple, all the temples of the Northwest and the larger portion of BCA, you don't need money. You don't need riches. You don't need fancy cars to prove how wealthy you are. When you have like-minded individuals and loving people like yourselves surrounding ourselves with all of this loving community and the teachings of the Buddha, what more riches could you possibly want? What more money? There's no amount of money that can actually buy that amount of support. And there's no amount of money that can pay it back either. So with this in mind, all I can say to you is a deep, heartfelt thank you to the White River Buddhist Temple for your understanding, for your support of Reverend Cindy and myself, for giving her time to spend with our child, because, pretty soon she'll be, coming back before you know it. And yes, you will get to meet Tetsuo in person before you know it. I know that that's the most important thing to you right now. But without your love and support and the community, we would not be where we are today. And it is with this in mind that I wanted to specifically come to White River Buddhist Temple to let you all know that we're doing wonderfully, and that's in large part because of all of you. So with this in mind, please know that we are thinking of all of you, that we are so grateful to all of you, and that we totally and we completely could not exist in this world and in this new parenthood without all of your love and support. Thank you very much for taking the time to listening to my parent ramblings. I apologize if a lot of my Dharma talk didn't make sense, because I still have dad brain right now, and I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. So I think my Dharma talks are going to be a little convoluted, from this point forward. But thank goodness my son is not a teenager yet. I'll deal with that when it comes. I'm looking too far ahead. I just got to get through today. And that's the thing about an infant child too. You never know what tomorrow is going to bring. What's my son going to be like tomorrow? In fact, what's he going to be like tonight? What's he going to be like when I get home? Routine is a thing that I am definitely looking forward to, but I'm not there yet. Please join me in Gassho. And repeat the Nembutsu with me. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namandats, namandats, namandats.
Thank you, Sensei, for your Dharma talk, and I do hope all of you get some sleep. If we could bundle up a package and just send it to you, that would be wonderful. Excuse me. So please rise. We will sing Ondoku-san 2 on page 153 of the Purple Book. And please remain standing. We will have a recitation after that. Thank you. Please turn to page 8 of your Purple Service Book. Oh, that's yours. I'm sorry, Sensei. Yes, thank you. Not sure what page it is on that book. There we go, Daily Kwita. So page 8, Daily Kwita Jodo Shinshu, please read along with me. Realizing enlightenment is assured and reciting the Nembutsu, I shall live my life cheerfully and positively. Understanding the oneness of life and cultivating self-reflection, I shall diligently attend to my life's tasks and gratitude. Recognizing the Dharma path, I shall help spread the teachings of the Buddha. Appreciating the Buddha Dharma, I shall respect and help others working for the good of society. Namanda, 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 namanda. Thank you. You may be seated. Are there any people that would like to be introduced today? Did I say induced? I'm not even a medical person. I don't even know what that really means. Let's hope we don't have to do that to anybody today. All right. Then we'll have temple announcements.
Hi everyone. Whoever was at art studio yesterday, I made a mistake in saying that there was not going to be a art studio this upcoming 25th Saturday. There will be. We will not be having studio on the 2nd because we will be having the plant sale.
Yeah, we had a ABA meeting on Monday. And we have the steak barbecue coming up next month. And so there's a sign-up sheet on the backs, and we need to know who's going to be here so we have enough, can buy enough meat and stuff. Okay. The other thing is that we scheduled a field trip to the Seattle gardens in the Arboretum. And also there's an option to attend a traditional tea ceremony. The cost for the tea ceremony is $20. The cost to attend the garden is $10 for adults and $6 for seniors. Anyway, but then there's a sign-up sheet on the back, bulletin board, and also out front. I got two.
Okay.
Hello. Thank you everyone who helped at the clean sweep in Auburn at the Memorial Park yesterday. We did a really good job. Hopefully they don't undo what we did. Last year they undid what we did. But also we're going to have a quick general meeting right after service. So take a 5-minute break, use the bathroom, grab a donut, but we'll meet back here in 5 minutes.
Yes, the plant sale is coming. If you have plants that you're germinating at home or getting ready just before May 2nd, that like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or bring in those plants. The times that we'll be here to receive those plants and set things up are again on the back wall. Volunteers are always welcome to help do those things. We do appreciate that the temple does pitch in and work together to make all these events possible. It takes more than just one person to get these things done. So we come to the end of service, and I will read, you can read the closing words with me if you know them, and you may come up afterwards and do Oshoko, the offering of incense at the burner there. And then that's it. We were just told we do have a short general meeting. I think there's just one thing they want to talk about. So that would be appreciated. So, closing words. My life is not only my life, but also the life of others' sacrifices, kindness, thoughtfulness, and patience. I am grateful. Namo Idabats, Namo Idabats, Namanda, 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 Namanda. Thank you very much. Enjoy the lovely weather, and be safe, and we'll see you the next time you wish to be here.